Although drowning is a relatively infrequent cause of death, a few recent high-profile celebrity drownings have increased public awareness of the hazards. The abrupt death of Naya Rivera in 2020 startled the whole globe, and now Mary Mara's unintentional death in 2022 has served as a sobering reminder that anybody might die. They may be the most recent well-known people to drown, but they join a lengthy list of tragic people who have also perished in the sea in the past. There are a startling amount of famous people who have drowned, from rock stars to novelists. Let's go and find out who are all tragically passed away after slipping under the surface. Josef Mengele. One of Hitler's most notorious goons was Josef Mengele. He was suspected of conducting horrible experiments on the captives at Auschwitz, but he escaped capture when the war ended and was never sent to Nuremberg for prosecution. He fled to Brazil and remained there until 1979. Mengele drowned in 1979 when visiting friends by the water after having a stroke while swimming. He was laid to rest as Wolfgang Gerhard, while the rest of the world continued to assume he was still alive. His demise wasn't verified until 1985, when the West German and Israeli governments stepped up their search efforts. Harold Holt. When Harold Holt inexplicably vanished, he had only been Australia's Prime Minister for 2 years. He went swimming in his preferred location on the beach on December 17, 1967, but he never came back. There was no further sign of him ever discovered, just his clothes were discovered where he had left them in the sand. The consensus is that he must have been pushed out to sea despite being a strong, skilled swimmer. To do a Harry Holt is to abruptly vanish, according to a phrase that was created following his passing. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was unquestionably one of the most gifted and troubled vocalists of her period. Over the years, her battle with drug addiction had a negative influence on her career and ultimately resulted in her unintentional death. On February 11, 2012, Houston died in a bathtub at a Beverly Hills hotel. Her death was caused by cocaine use and heart problems, according to an autopsy. Bobbi Kristina Brown. Sadly, a few years later, her daughter Bobbi Kristina Brown too passed away tragically. In 2015, Brown's home's bathtub was discovered with her face down inside. She spent 6 months in a coma before dying at the age of 22. Her system contained a combination of potent prescription medicines, but tests could not tell if her death was accidental or deliberate. Mary Mara. Actress Mary Mara was found dead in the St. Lawrence River in upstate New York on June 26, 2022. Mara was best known for playing the role of Loretta Sweet in the 1990s. She also appeared in shows like Law and Order, Hope and Gloria, and Dexter. The 61-year-old is believed to have drowned while swimming. Police say there were no signs of foul play. Early reports suggest she hit her head and was knocked unconscious. Naya Rivera. After taking her kid on a boat excursion on California's Lake Piru on July 8, 2020, Glee star Naya Rivera mysteriously vanished. Later that day, 4-year-old Josie was discovered in the boat by himself, with no trace of Rivera. Teams of searchers couldn't discover her body for 5 days. It's thought that Rivera and her kid were caught in a rip current while swimming close to the yacht. Rivera was able to safely re-board the boat with her kid, but she was too weak to rescue herself. Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood, an accomplished actress best recognized for her role as Maria in the timeless film, West Side Story, 1964, passed away in a strange accident in 1981. With her husband Robert Wagner, her Brainstorm co-star Christopher Walken, and other family members, Wood had been enjoying a boat holiday in Santa Catalina. Her 2 friends claim that they went to bed before her and discovered she was gone from the yacht when they awakened. 1 mile (1.6 kilometers) from the boat, her corpse was discovered. Authorities first believed that she had suffered these wounds after inadvertently falling from the boat in the middle of the night since she was severely bruised. Thoughts that Wood's death was not an accident and that her husband was involved have been circulating for years. In 2011, her accidental drowning cause of death was modified to drowning and other undetermined factors. In the newly revived inquiry into her death, her husband was identified as a person of interest in 2018. Jeff Buckley. Jeff Buckley, who became famous for performing Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah in 1994, died in a strange swimming accident in 1997. He had just turned 30 when the incident took place. According to reports, Buckley decided on the spot to go into the Mississippi River while still wearing his clothes and take a dip. A worried friend was watching him, but when he turned his head for a second, Buckley vanished. A huge boat had just passed, and Buckley is said to have been swept away by the wake. 6 days later, his body was discovered kilometers down the river. Suspicion was aroused concerning the cause of Buckley's death due to rumors regarding his mental health and unpredictable behavior before the catastrophe. Brian Jones, the founding member of the Rolling Stones and a rock star much crazier than Keith Richards or Mick Jagger, was Brian Jones. Sadly, by 1969, his severe drug addiction had made him unable to contribute to the band. 3 weeks after being let go by the Rolling Stones, he passed away. On July 3, 1969, the 27-year-old was discovered dead in his own swimming pool. Because Jones had significant amounts of alcohol and narcotics in his system, it was determined that he had died by misadventure. There are rumors that Jones killed himself on purpose after being let go by the band. Stranger ideas contend that a building contractor killed him because of an outstanding debt. Dennis Wilson, one of the original Beach Boys members, was Dennis Wilson. Sadly, his lifelong battles with alcohol and drug addiction resulted in his premature death in 1983. During the holidays, Wilson was on a bender and ended up having a party on his friend's boat. He made the decision to begin diving into the icy water to retrieve odd items he had discovered at the river's bottom. It came out that he had been looking for goods that he had tossed into the same river 3 years previously when sailing with his ex-wife, Karen Lamb Wright. Amazingly, he was able to locate a silver frame with their wedding photograph inside. He kept looking for fish in the ocean, but after one disastrous dive, he never surfaced again. After a 30-minute search, his corpse was discovered, and he was declared dead. Age-wise, he was 39. Dolores O'Riordan. On January 15, 2018, Dolores O'Riordan, the Cranberries' lead vocalist, was discovered dead in a hotel room in London. The British coroner's office looked into the woman's untimely death at the age of 46. O'Riordan had a high blood alcohol content and had perished in the bathtub. Her room had a number of empty alcohol bottles, and she had also taken a few prescription drugs. She reportedly just drank too much and passed out in the water, according to speculation. Carol Wayne. Carol Wayne was an actress who worked in both television and films. She frequently appeared on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. She is shown in this photo from the 1968 film, The Party. At the age of 42, she passed away unexpectedly under murky circumstances. When she vanished, Wayne and her boyfriend, an automobile salesman named Edward Durston, were on vacation at the Los Hadas resort in Mexico. She had made the decision to go for a walk on the beach while the two were supposedly arguing. 3 days later, a local fisherman discovered her dead in the water. Despite several competing explanations, it was determined that the drowning was an accident. Virginia Woolf. Throughout her life, renowned novelist Virginia Woolf was known to experience severe depressive episodes. Her mental state deteriorated in 1941 as World War II proceeded to wreak havoc on Europe and bombers had devastated her London house. She was unable to write and developed a death obsession. On March 28, 1941, Woolf stepped into the river beside her rural house while carrying stones in the pockets of her coat. Her spouse received a message from her in which she stated that she was doing what seems to be the best thing to do. It took 3 weeks before her body was discovered. Grigori Rasputin. The mystic and self-described healer Grigori Rasputin gained the trust of the Russian royal family by claiming to be able to cure their hemophiliac kid. He grew very close to the emperor and empress, and as a result, many officials disliked the influence he had over them. Rasputin was subjected to a cyanide poisoning attempt in 1917, yet he pulled through and lived. Then, after being shot and left for dead by his attackers, he once more managed to escape. When they eventually located him, they shot him many times more, tied him up, and dumped him into the icy Neva River to perish. Percy Bysshe Shelley. Despite the fact that his brilliance was underappreciated during his lifetime, Percy Bysshe Shelley was a well-known and significant British poet. He was a divisive personality who decided to go to Italy in 1818. When a storm hit in 1822, Shelley and two friends were sailing along the coast. All of them were unskilled sailors, and when the boat sank, they perished together. 10 days later, Shelley's body washed ashore on the strand. He was then cremated there. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe for more information. Please do support us.